Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening, and first of all, we want to thank you for the many blessings that you give us in our lives each day. Please surround our schools and our students and our teachers and this whole community during this last few weeks of school and the testing. Please be with the families that need your healing. They need your peace at this moment. We always know that those that are hurting are not far from us. So we always ask that you give your peace and surround them with your arms of grace and healing at all times. Please be within us today and give us the wisdom and the knowledge and the discernment to make the right choices when we look over everything that comes before us at this board meeting. Please be with the presenters tonight. And as always, you're the one that knows our hearts. I always say, please make us inside a little bit more like you are each and every day. All this we pray in your name. Amen. Please address the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Hogan, are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chair?
Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. My glasses on real quick. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening again, everyone. It's nice to have a packed house. We have a very special evening, and I'm honored to be here and read a couple little stories first. We are honoring somebody very special that is among us tonight. So I want to read the words that were written and then just possibly give a little bit of personal feedback on how I feel about this person as well. So let me just read the stories. I would like to share a story about what it truly means to be a school and a community. Just 2 months after arriving in Cedar Key, 3 children ages 9, 11, and 16 experienced the unimaginable. Their mother was suddenly taken from them in a tragic car accident. In a place that was still new to them, their world changed in an instant. In that moment of heartbreak, something extraordinary happened. The Cedar Key family stepped in. When the situation became known, Jenny McCain immediately ensured that school leadership and the school nurse was notified. Principal Cheryl Allen, Counselor Lisa Pender, and school nurse Shelley Collins moved quickly, not just as professionals, but also as people who care deeply for children. Recognizing the urgency of both the emotional circumstances and the significant medical needs of the 11-year-old, Shelley went directly to the home. Standing alongside the Florida Highway Patrol and the Department of Children and Families, the children were told of their mother's passing. She was there to offer comfort, stability, and a familiar, caring presence during one of the hardest moments of their lives. Then she did something remarkable. Knowing their father lived out of state and would need several days to arrive, Shelley arranged for her family to be emergency background screened and welcomed the children into her own home. She and her family provided safety, consistency, and love when these children needed it most. At the same time, Principal Allen and Counselor Pender worked quietly behind the scenes to ensure every physical, emotional, and mental health need was met. Jenny McCain helped coordinate community outreach and support. Every action was carried out with compassion, dignity, and deep respect for the family's privacy. The entire Cedar Key Shark community responded with the same heart, surrounding these children with care, kindness, and understanding. In a time of overwhelming loss, these individuals did more than their jobs. They became a lifeline. They became a safe place. They became a family. Because of their compassion and selfless action, the impact that they made will live forever in the hearts of these children and their loved ones. It is my honor to recognize the extraordinary team of Cedar Key School individuals who showed us all what it means to lead with heart, to serve with compassion, and to make a lasting impact when it matters most. Please consider them for the School Board of Levy County Impact Award. This is sincerely Angela Phillips. The next one that I'll read, on the afternoon of February 9th, 2026, a tragic car accident on County Road 345 claimed the life of a single parent of 2 Cedar Key students. Mrs. Shelley knew these students through her work as our school nurse. As soon as she learned of the accident, her thoughts turned to their safety and well-being, and she made a visit to their home where she met law enforcement waiting for the Department of Children and Families to arrive. When it became clear that a placement had not been arranged, Mrs. Shelley, without hesitation, offered her home for the children until family members could arrive from out of state. The impact of this courageous and compassionate act has resonated with me and many others who learned of the situation. Her response went far beyond the expectations of her role. In a moment of profound crisis, Mrs. Shelley provided stability, protection, and compassion. She gave the children more than a place to stay. She gave them reassurance during uncertainty, comfort in the midst of grief, and the knowledge that they were not alone. The impact of her generosity will be felt for a lifetime, reflected in the resilience, hope, and comfort she helped make possible. That's by Cheryl Allen, the principal of Cedar Key School. Personally, I met Shelley back when I was a school board member, and still getting to know folks at Cedar Key School. I know she had other things to do for some time, but then you came back and you promised you would come back. I remember you saying that because we had built like this friendship and would always talk. And she said, Tammy, I'll be back. I really will. There's a reason for everything. And I think some people have an opportunity and maybe they miss it, but I see you going far, far beyond that. This was something that not anybody can do, even if you want to. I think it's an emotional calling, and you were called, and you stepped up, and you make everybody incredibly proud, and I have no doubt that you will keep in touch with this family and those children for the rest of their lives. And they will never forget you, and we will never forget a moment like this either. So thank you for your courage and your love for other people. So with that, please accept it.
Well, yeah. We're pretty good. That was really a life-changing experience. Do you want to, you're welcome to say anything you want. Really, you have, I really don't have anything to say other than, I was trying to be a blessing to someone else, but it blessed, my family and myself much more. We learned a lot about ourselves that week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, Madam Superintendent, we have the AVID Certified Educators.
Mrs. Taylor.
Hello.
I'll just be up here briefly because the real magicians are out there.
Well, bring them up.
They're gonna come up in momentarily.
okay.
I just wanted to welcome everybody. And, no, actually, I don't. Explain something super brief, that we had some professional learning federal funds available to support our teachers with professional learning. And Avid Center created an opportunity for the first time this past year called the Avid Certified Educator Program, where teachers could work through a cohort over a year-long asynchronous opportunity and really magnify what's happening in their classroom. And so today, the 3 teachers that were a part of this journey this year are here to showcase what change existed through this opportunity in them, and just kind of showcase what is available now to our teachers to go witness in their classrooms at Showcase Classrooms. So without further ado, Megan Weatherford from CES, Megan Wooten from Chiefville Middle High, and Carol Isteen from, someone up, from Bronson Middle High.
All right, so I have a task for our board members. We're gonna treat you like we treat our Avid students, and we wanna get your brains thinking. So what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to take a minute, and normally we have our kids write, so if you have paper, it'd be great if you could write it.
Post-it notes.
Post-it notes are our thing.
Favorite. There we go. Post-it notes are our favorite.
We're gonna give you 1 minute, and what we would like for you to do is write down anything that comes to mind that you feel are ideal foundations of instruction that should be in a classroom to execute an effective lesson. We're gonna give you 1 minute. So what do you think should be in a classroom to execute an effective lesson? Anybody have any questions?
What kind of lesson? What are we teaching?
Any lesson at all? How do you- Let's just hit the-
Yeah, you go to the next middle.
The teachers have an unfair advantage.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Just making sure everybody stays on task.
Word is.
Just to check in, you have 30 seconds.
Hey, you're reading over my shoulder?
Support.
All right, 10 seconds. If you'll go ahead and start wrapping up your thoughts. So first step that you just did is what we call quick writes. We give our students a time frame of brain dumping is what I like to call it. They get off their thoughts based off of whatever the question is or topic. The next step that we'd like for you to do is with an elbow partner. So I'd like for you to share with your elbow partner what you wrote down. Mark anything that you find as commonalities by underlining it. Put an exclamation point if there's an aha moment where you say, "Ooh, I didn't think of that," because you're going to add it to your list with your partner. And just share what you found with your elbow partner to be something that should be in a classroom to execute an effective lesson. Again, you have 1 minute.
My partner?
Perfect, those two right there.
Did you write
No,
something down? No, you're not. Your elbow
Okay,
partner.
Dave did it.
better partner is what I need.
I know, you have to have the attorney.
I need a partner.
Engagement.
You got engagement too?
No, it's the same thing. I put individual dialogue.
So participation is what we want to
Yeah.
Yep, full. And you said my all. Underline?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah, what's it? I failed.
No, you didn't.
No feeling. It's all good.
Okay.
Time check. You have 28 seconds.
Put an exclamation point by that one.
I think we need to add to it.
Supposed to add to it?
I'll keep my part.
You're gonna keep these? Okay.
10 more seconds. Can you come up with anything new with your partner? Anything that you were shocked with or anything that you've seen?
Always partner with somebody smarter.
Alright.
Well, that wasn't hard for you, was it?
It's not hard.
Do we have any academic risk takers willing to share with us something that you had on your sticky note or something that you added to your sticky note?
I had engaging activities.
Engaging activities, okay? Anybody else willing to share?
Similar, we had participation by all, dialogue.
Okay, dialogue, engagement,
With peers, with
participation.
peers.
With peers,
Explicit teaching, lots of practice.
practice, absolutely. I'll practice.
But there also has to be good classroom management.
100%, absolutely 100%.
She's real teacher.
Mr. Asbell, what did you have on your sticky note?
We just hold.
Give us something
You
you
may
had.
not want to know.
Oh, yeah, you did for sure.
I will tell you everything I had on my sticky note. I had organization.
There you go, absolutely.
I had relatable instructor. Okay,
Absolutely.
and I speak only from me.
Absolutely,
Growing
100%.
up, I did better with ones I could relate to. I had a teacher who was very, kind of, and I never got it. But
Right.
the ones that are fun and willing to, opportunity to express, like you've let me do here.
Absolutely.
I can express, you express.
Thank you for participating.
Teamwork.
Makes the group
And,
work.
and my partner
Collaboration.
here, he came up with this, respect, not just respect from student to teacher, but teacher to student and between the students.
Absolutely. So you all have shared some very valuable pieces of information with us that are definitely valuable pieces of information to have in class or elements to have in class. We're going to share with you some information that we gained knowledge through the ACE program regarding foundations of instruction. As we're going through our presentation, we'd like for you to kind of take note of what you have on your sticky note. You'll hear about 5 foundations of instruction and see where you think they might fit into those foundations. And I'm gonna pass them on. Where are you next?
Sure. So why are we here? This would be me. And I'm not able to wing it. My brain goes completely blank whenever I have to present in front of somebody and use big words. So what we have here is basically a breakdown of what I'm going to talk to you about, which is the overview of the AVID Certified Educator course, what it is, how long it takes, and what kind of work we put into it. It's a fairly new professional learning and certification program designed to strengthen instructional practices through the AVID Foundations of Instruction, which include positive relationships, appropriate learning environments, diagnostic teaching, clear learning objectives, and student agency. Before beginning the AVID Certified Educator program, candidates complete an application process as well as a reflective essay explaining why they want to pursue this certification. Once accepted into the program, the certification process lasts approximately 9 months. It goes the entire school year. It includes both synchronous and asynchronous learning experiences. We participated in launch sessions, collaborative learning opportunities throughout the school year, reflection activities, classroom application, and a final capstone synthesis project in order to earn our certification. It's then valid, that certification has been valid for 5 years with continued implementation evidence required for renewal. So once that 5 years is up, we have to show continued reflection and application in order to renew. The program was developed as a part of AVID's ongoing mission to close the opportunity gaps and prepare all students for college, career, and life readiness. Through this certification, teachers gain research-based, student-centered instructional strategies that increase engagement, rigor, inclusion, and student ownership of learning. One of the most valuable parts of this experience was the opportunity to collaborate with teachers and educators from across the country. Working alongside individuals from different schools, districts, and educational backgrounds provided new perspectives, fresh ideas, and opportunities to reflect on and strengthen instructional practices.
Teachers would pursue this certification not only to improve their own classrooms, but also to grow as an instructional leaders who can positively impact their schools and districts. As more educators become AVID certified, schools benefit from stronger instructional consistency, increased collaboration, shared leadership, and a greater capacity to implement effective teaching practices school-wide. Other Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Wooten, I'm with Chiefland Middle High School, and I'm gonna talk to you about the foundations and instructions that Carol kind of introduced to you, beginning without you knowing it, of what do you need in a classroom to give an effective lesson plan. And so there's these categories, they're the 5 foundations of instruction, that if you could build a blueprint on what the best kind of inclusive, trusting, respectful, open, environment for a student to be in that has the most organization in it, and an effective learning goal, this is it. And so it starts with your positive relationships. Mr. Asbell, you talked about that, a personal relationship with a teacher. Students don't learn from teachers they don't like, and it starts at the door. It starts at the door when you meet your kids in the classroom. Do you have nicknames for them? You meet them with a high five. You know, if they played a game last night, did you meet them at the door and say, hey, I missed you yesterday? You went in class. Are you in their business? And once students realize that you care, they care a little bit back. And then the next thing you're looking at is your appropriate environment. What does your classroom look like? Does it look like a waiting room? Or does it look like colors and ideas and examples of student work and expectations in classroom and roles and responsibilities? Is the learning goal there present? Is everything that you need for a student to be able to look and learn without having to ask you or someone next to you? Is there constant reminders of what vocabulary they're working on during content? My favorite is pictures of students' work. It's examples. They're 17 years old with driver's license, but they still like their work posted. They still like a role responsibility in class. The next one is a little bit more structured. It's diagnostic teaching. You can probably get through 1 and 2 playing and on the surface, but it's deeper with 3. This is where you're looking in the middle of the lesson and you see or you feel the confused faces. They're not so sure, or they've checked out, or they've gotten tired, or they need a walk, or you're not comfortable with moving forward and you're asking for a fist of 5, you're asking for a finger, thumbs up, thumbs down, we're looking for a brain break. I'm looking to give a relatable scenario to my content. It could be a post-it note, it could be a think, pair, share, it could be something that even if a student is reaching out and giving a misconception to something, how can we change direction? How do we call an audible if we need to? Because a lesson plan is sometimes excellently designed, but maybe not for those kids in that classroom, and you have to adjust it. So this right here went beyond relationships and the high fives and how cool my room looked to being able to adjust instruction in real time. And then there's clear learning objectives, not just something that we put on the wall, but do you know what your goal is by the end of the lesson? Do your kids know? Could your kids identify what it is that you're asking them to do for the next 45 minutes to retain it and to be able to address it in more than one way, not just at the beginning of the lesson, at the end of the lesson, in the middle of it, if someone asks them. But also, do they know when they've gotten it? Are they able to say, actually, that's not right, or we're venturing off from it? So it is that organizational piece in class, like, are you staying on task yourself as well as a teacher? And the last part is student agency, and that is how do you empower students? How do you make your environment and that student feel like they can be responsible for their own learning? How can they advocate for themselves? How can they safely feel to voice misconceptions in a classroom? How can you get kids at a very tough age to be vulnerable in a classroom and feel empowered at the same time? And if you can hit all those 5 things, your classroom is the ideal place for students, for teachers, for staff, for the school, the community. That's what we're trying to hit on every one of those things. Those are our 5 foundations of instruction, and that's for 9 months what we concentrated on each one of those, not just self-assessing ourselves, but how we put it in the classroom, evidence of classroom, student-teacher impact, and results. Those are it.
I'm gonna focus on how it improved my practice, looking at the first two foundations of instruction. I'm gonna look at appropriate environment and positive relationships. I've kind of divided my first screen, looking at how it's connected to the Danielson model, and then also how it has had an impact on my students in my classroom. So when you look at the Danielson model, domain 2, dealing with classroom environment, creating an environment of respect and rapport, like you said, Mr. Asbell, not just student to teacher, but teacher to student. That reciprocated rapport is crucial. Domain 3 is the instruction and being able to communicate with the teachers. Those are the domains that appropriate environment connect to the Danielson model. Looking at positive relationships, again, domain 2, but we hit a few of the others with establishing a culture for learning, managing classroom procedures, and managing student behavior. When I look at reflecting back on my class, I take pride in saying I always feel like I have good relationships with my students. I feel like they feel safe and comfortable in my classroom. It's always something that I kind of have been able to find connections with them no matter what. That was one of the appropriate environment and positive relationships. I'd be lying if I didn't say at the beginning of this that I was kind of like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. That's not an area of concern for me, so we're going to reinforce what I do. I was totally wrong. As with everything, there's always room to grow. And while my students trust me at this point, they are trusting me with a higher level of expectation out of me, that I need to rise to the occasion because I expect that out of them. So that expectation is reciprocated when they're seeing it out of me, that I'm expecting it from them. They turn around and hold me accountable in ways that I have never had students hold me accountable for. Students lead their thinking instead of me saying, okay, so what are you thinking? A lot of times they will have that dialogue or that discourse with each other and try and expand on it and dig deeper into the thought process. That takes being comfortable where you are. That takes students being vulnerable because they're not always right. And then being able to dig deeper and find errors and find misconceptions and be able to work through those amongst the students themselves where I don't have to get involved, it's very powerful because we all know that teenagers think that adults don't know anything and they know everything. So when they can work it out themselves and I'm there to facilitate, it's a sight to see. A lot of times students ask questions and we respond to those questions. A lot of times these days my question back to them, or my response to them is a question back to them. They'll say, well, why did you explain it that way? Well, let's think about it. What have we talked about up to this point? What can you pull from the conversation? What can you pull from your research? And make them actually think critically about what the concept is that we're talking about. So that's a sense of throwing it back on them, that responsibility, that ownership of what they're doing. And then positive relationships. I teach AVID high school elective, but I also teach the middle school ESC students. And if you know middle school students, they think they know everything even worse than high school students a lot of the times. They are very hesitant to use their accommodations. They're very hesitant to understand why the supports that are there for them are not a negative. After holding my students accountable, the reciprocated accountability with me, some real conversations that we could have in our environment, 77.7% of my students in the middle school ESC made growth on their science lead at the end of the year this year. So that was phenomenal. Civics, when I put this together, we didn't have the civics, but the civics, our 8th grade civics students, they did amazing as well. I don't remember Ms. Schuller's exact, but it was at 70 something. So applying their accommodations with that ownership has definitely shown some great improvements. Organization with accountability. We have planners. We don't think we need them. We think the school thinks that they're just, pretty. Beginning of the year for semester 1, my average planner check grade was a 64.25. Semester 2 was a 94. And that planner is specifically every single class the learning goal or the expectation, and any assignments that they're going to be doing. So there's an expectation to put something in for every class, not just mine. And a lot of times teachers will do a planner check for their class, and that's it. But the accountability and expectation of them having something for all of their classes would hold them accountable there. The greatest growth was my class of 2028. Semester 1, their average grade for a planner check was 48.8%. And now they're at 97.7. So that's definitely a reflection of them feeling responsible for their learning and their organization. And then also stretching their comfort zone. I ask my students a lot of times, what have we done differently? What has made the greatest impact on you this year? That was our capstone activity that we had to do, was kind of tying in what has changed. And everything that every student said, you pushed me out of my comfort zone. You pushed me and stretched me beyond where I ever thought that I could be, because you believe in me and you encourage me, you support me. So that was definitely an eye-opener for me, is that even though I've always had that good relationship, knowing that they can stretch and them noticing that they're stretching is phenomenal. I think I probably hit most of what I put on here. Let's see. What I did before the ACE program, we had collaboration activities. My students, they'd be partnered. Sometimes I'd let them select their partners. Other times I'd assign them. A lot of times I'd count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Groups of ones go here, groups of twos go here. We've also done a gallery walk or carousel where we have different things up on the wall and they have to rotate through. However, through the cohort that I worked with, some of the things that I bumped it up a notch was random leaders when they're in their small groups. They didn't know who was going to be responsible for what, and they had to, sometimes I would say something like, who's the oldest? And they would think that they were the ones stuck having to be the leader. And then, no, okay, you pick who's going to be the leader. So they're held accountable of who's going to be their leader for their group, and just different things like that. The discourse and dialogue. The thing that my students liked the most as far as activities was the digital carousel. We do the gallery walk or the digital carousel, but it was something that we did on Google Slides, where they each created their own slide, but then they had to go to another person's slide and give them feedback on it, and then come back and look at their slide and make corrections, improvements, or changes based off of their peer feedback. I touched on the accommodation application, because they are finding themselves accountable for using their accommodations. Sometimes they have to push through it, reflecting on if they use them or not, and then being able to set goals for themselves, that especially for my middle school ESC students. And then the planner, how that has grown. Instead of just checking for one class, I hold them accountable for all of their classes, and it's not just we did work. Well, no, what assignment did you do? What was the expectation of you in that class? So that has helped them be accountable, all built off of having an appropriate environment and positive relationships. And so what I'd like for you to do is look at your sticky note. Do you have anything on your sticky note that you feel like would fall under appropriate environment or positive relationships?
I know Mr. Asbell does.
We do. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me on appropriate environment and positive relationships as a foundation of instruction? All right. Anybody have any questions for me? All right. Next up. Megan, without
any. My name's Megan. I actually teach 5th grade ESE inclusion, so I have gen ed students along with ESE students, and I even have some gifted mixed in there, so it's quite a group that I have. So for my growth area, I focused on creating clear learning objectives and increasing student engagement. Through this process, my understanding of learning objectives has changed significantly. Before this course, learning objectives often focus mostly on the tasks that students were completing, but through AVID I learned that strong learning objectives should actually clearly communicate the thinking skill, the content, and the product, so students understand not only what they're learning, but also how they're going to demonstrate their understanding. This work connected strongly to the Danielson framework, especially Domain 2, which is classroom environment, and Domain 3, which is instruction. I work to create more student-centered classroom focused on collaboration, engagement, and positive relationships while also improving instructional clarity through Wicker strategies, collaborative learning, and engagement checks. One of the biggest changes in teaching has been the shift from teacher-centered instruction to student-centered learning. I became more intentional with lesson design and began using engagement data to adjust instruction in real time. Students are now doing more of the talking, thinking, questioning, and collaborative work in the classroom. Honestly, one of the clearest signs of this shift came from a colleague who mentioned noticing that I seemed to have more energy this school year. And that really stood out for me because previously I often ended the day more exhausted than my students because I was carrying most of the cognitive load during instruction. Through the Avid Certified course, students now take greater ownership of their learning, which has created a healthier and more effective classroom environment for both students and myself. The impact on students has also been significant. Students are more engaged, more confident, more independent in their learning. One of the most meaningful outcomes has been the inclusion and participation of my ESE students. During an observation, administration shared that they could not distinguish students with accommodations from the general education students because all of the students were actively participating, collaborating, and engaging at high levels within the classroom environment. And so before and after my certified educator course, this slide highlights how my instruction has changed. Before Avid, my lessons were much more teacher-directed. I would introduce the learning target. I would lead students through a choral reading of the text. I would group students to answer textbook questions. And then we all would check the answers whole group to determine understanding. Now, my lessons are more intentional and student-centered. Learning objectives clearly identify the thinking skill, content, and the product, so students understand the purpose of the lesson and what successful learning looks like. Students interact with the text through collaboration, annotation, quick writes, accountable talk, and higher level questioning strategies. Instead of relying only on textbook questions, students are actively discussing, writing, questioning, and demonstrating their thinking throughout the lesson. Another major shift has been the use of frequent engagement checks and visible thinking strategies to monitor understanding in real time instead of waiting until the end of the lesson. Most importantly, students now carry more of the cognitive load during instruction. They are collaborating, they are problem solving, they are discussing, and they are taking ownership of their learning. This has especially impacted my special education students who are now participating alongside their peers in a way that feels inclusive, rigorous, and student-centered. Overall, the Avid Certified Educator course has transformed not only how I teach, but also how my students experience learning in the classroom.
Hello, friends. It's Megan. I'm Megan, and my focus was on the clear learning objectives. Early in the year, I received some audacious feedback from a tutorial visit from Ms. Taylor, who had the nerve to ask my students if they are aware of the learning goal or if they knew what they were doing in class. And to my dismay, bewilderment, they didn't. And her follow-up question to me was how my learning goal was connected to my learning. Something else that was completely out of pocket. But if I can say anything about this program, it's really brought about some accountability, not just for students in the classroom, but for teachers. Because those first sections of instruction, I have it. I'm great at relationships. I'm great at my environment. I'm great at knowing my content. But that doesn't mean my kids do. And so I had to make something my own. I had to buy into it. I had my learning goal up every day on that board. It was always checked on my box. But whether or not I followed through with it, or I stayed on course, or whether or not we achieved that goal at the end, or my kids knew what the expected outcome was maybe not revisited. And it definitely wasn't reconnected to my bell ringer or my exit ticket. class. So, it called me out on some things of, where I was falling short. And so I did what I normally do, which is just be ridiculous with it. And I needed something in the classroom to signify it as a reminder. And this is my learning goal manager position in class. I told you before that they might be 17 with driver's license, but they love a role and responsibility in class. We don't have line leaders as juniors in high school, but in my class we have a learning goal manager. And every day it's a new student that comes in that fights over this banana. To be able to announce yesterday's learning goal, fill us in on what we did, introduce the new learning goal. And their favorite thing to do is when a guest comes in the room, whether it be administration, whether it be somebody, any kind of visitor, their job is to greet and address the person coming into the room in such a way that only allows for dramatics. Hello, and welcome to our class. Today's learning goal is this. And so far, this is where we're at with it. Do you have any questions? And then they properly sheath their banana and they put it back on their desk. What they also love to do is alert everyone when I have derailed. So I love to tell a story. History allows it. History allows great storytelling, and I can get off topic. So a student loves to hold me accountable. Miss Wooten, that's not on topic. It happens less and less because there's accountability there, and guests don't often interrupt my classrooms anymore. But what it is made, it's made for students to be responsible in the classroom. It's made them responsible for themselves. It has made sure that every day we're coming in with a purpose and we're leaving without a cheat. They know every day what they're coming in to do, how they're going to do it, and what it looks like when we get there. It's going to be addressed in the beginning of the classroom, in the middle of the classroom, at the end of the class. And we're going to come back around to it and I'm like, hey, did I get that? And they're like, yes, you did. In what way? And then there's a fight on who's going to have it tomorrow. So it's something simple. It's something I had to do. Kids don't buy in if you don't. They won't. If you don't believe in a role or responsibility or an initiative or a memo, it's not going to happen. So where this falls on the Daniel rubric is all those places. It checked a lot of boxes. You can't have a learning goal if you're not playing for your class. So it helps you to backwards map and makes you, it's like, okay, I've got to have this outcome. How do I get there? And then, wait, can you look that?
Absolutely.
Thanks. See, if I had a learning goal manager. Okay. So I've identified what the roles are for this person in the class. It rotates throughout the class. They have it on their desk, surprisingly enough. It's not been an issue of disruption in the class. No one has misused the banana. It's not been a source of contention because they know that they will be knocked off the banana list. And you can't have that. So it monitors class focus and they identify it when we need it. And it's just a flair for the dramatics, but it gets them involved. The impact for me, it's helped me be able to call that audible if needed. I'm now consciously aware of what we're trying to do each class. That's present for me. It's allowed for higher order of questioning, adjustments, and again, accountability. That's made that in the classroom. If a kid feels comfortable enough to say, Miss Wooten, we've gone off topic, then they are not only paying attention to what they should be doing, but they feel safe enough to be able to say something to me. And it's done in a respectful way, and it's made us more community. And my students have learned the definition of the word fallible. Because I'm fallible, kids, and they've learned through content what that means. So here's my favorite part, impact on students. Students are absolutely aware of what they're learning, why it matters, and what success looks like. They have to know why it matters. If it doesn't, they don't care. So we've had increased engagement, confidence and participation and accountability in class. Academic numbers, everybody wants to see the data. Midterm proficiency went from 41% to 90%, so an exponential jump. And then today, actually, my U.S. history students took the EOC. And their proficiency level right now, they're 82%. which is a number we've never had. Thank you. And that's actually, because I attribute everything to the AVID program, not just to ACE, but last year I found it, I didn't know how we were gonna make gains. We had 79%. It's an incredible number. Did not know how we'd make gains on that. And these kids this year have bought into it. They bought into a $4 Timu banana. And everything that I asked them to do in my classroom, any idea that I've got, because we built that relationship. And they know the end result. And today, a lot of kids got to cash their academic paychecks with their passes. And so it has kept me on target, and it's made already a rigorous, respectful community classroom even more organized and even more room for growth. And it showed it today. So I owe everything to this program, not just to the Certified Educator program, but to AVID in general. It has made me who I am as an educator in this classroom. So, thank you.
I do want to say really quickly and thanking you three for the amount of vulnerability that you brought to this room today and sharing. You three I've been on a journey with for many, many years, but who you are as a teacher is profound. So to see that you found so much value in this program and were able to stand up here in front of everybody and share how it made you a better teacher and even greater impact on students blows my mind, because I think that's something you are already always doing. And the fact that you could come here today and share that with us, I think is really brave. So thank you for this. Singular comment from the entirety of first period on that team comment. Hey!
She also received a 5 this morning on her.
Oh, congratulations.
I would be remiss to ask you if there is anything on your sticky note that you are unaware of or unclear of which foundation of instruction it was on.
I think they're all.
I think we're covered.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Stacy Drummond. Is Stacy Drummond here?
Miss Fields is here,
And Ms. Fields.
and I don't know who else is presenting she's back there.
Guardians.
Yes, that's it.
Can I make a comment, please?
I'm sorry.
About AVID. Thank you so much for that presentation. I go back to when AVID started in our county, and all of this is just plain old, very good teaching, all of it, and very effective teaching. And the key things that you said that is so important for us to reach our students is that you teach them thinking strategies, no matter what their abilities are. You help them through their own agency find success, and that it applies to all of them, not just some of them, all of them. And I hope, Tara, you don't mind if I make this comment, but my grandson was very much empowered by the AVID program when he was in school at Cedar Key, and it taught him how to think. He had a different way of thinking, and he wasn't successful with the usual way that we were teaching him. But AVID and the teachers who used the AVID strategies consistently empowered him and gave him the strategies and the feeling of the ability to believe in himself. And before this, he would say to me, Nana, you know, when they would be giving him tests and he was totally boggled by it, he'd say, why are they doing this to me? And then AVID came along, and I thought, thank God they're doing this to him. Because he became a powerful thinker. He was a very successful student in school, graduated, and is doing great in his job. And I thank all of the teachers who did use the AVID strategies. And that's the most beneficial thing about AVID. You can say a lot of different things about it, but it's the strategies and the consistent use of the strategies that makes it successful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, girls. You all three were already fabulous teachers, but I can see where this has it helped, even you three. And that's thanks to Tanya. Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Guardians of the Gulf presentation.
Hi, I'm Amy Freeland, and I'm super excited to share the Guardians of the Gulf project that we did this year. All right, we have our awesome team, and we have a few of them here with us to kind of share what we did so far all year. We still have a couple weeks of some things that we're working on as well. So thank you, Ms. Julie and Ms. Ellen Boucher, for coming here to support us as well. So, Guardians of the Gulf is a grant-funded program that brings real science into the classroom. As science teachers, we try really hard to make it as real as possible for them, but this is just like the next step for the kids to really get them into science, into collecting real data, and then presenting it, and I'll show you about that in a few seconds. So, again, it's in the classroom, but it also pulls the kids outside of the classroom to really get to know some of the stuff we were talking about. We've learned all about dolphins and sea turtles and manatees and all kinds of cool things with UFMAR and the Cedar Key Dolphin Project, UTA. So we appreciate being able to learn from them, and I think you guys learned a little from us too. Yes. So a little bit about it, some of the goals that we had for the students. So like I said, to get into the real part of science, to collect real data, for them to present it to community members, and to really see, hey, I'm learning this in class. What does this equate to outside in the real world? So we try to build their knowledge, build their skills, and help them to know that learning these things, they're going to make a difference in their community and make a difference in the environment, and especially in our aquatic realm. So again, goal number 3 there, we are trying to teach them to see what it's like to be a scientist. We have actual scientists come in and show off some of their work as well, which was super cool. All right, we had 4 main modules that we worked on and a conservation project that we are currently working on. So our first module, which was very cool, they got to study a baby dolphin that was entangled right off of Cedar Key. So we had your data?
It was
Okay. Shay and another scientist, marine biologist, Miss Susanna. The students got to actually dig through their actual data and their observations and what they did with the mama dolphin and the baby dolphin and how they were observed and they did finally get them, what's the right word? Disentangled. Okay. Disentangled, and they went on their way. But the students loved this because it was something real that really happened. They got to meet Ms. Shea. She was the scientist, one of the scientists that was part of this. So for them, that was just super cool to see somebody besides myself and some of the other. I mean, we're cool, but they were definitely way cooler. They got the woo-woos more than we did. But in the classroom, some of the things, just a piece of evidence from what they were learning with that specific data. Module 2 kind of jumps back into part of my field. Not only have I taught science, but I'm now teaching civics. And the kids, I thought they were going to, I'll be honest, I thought they might be a tad bored with the history part of it, but they really liked it. They got into it. They had all different types of journal articles, newspaper things from 20-ish years ago, things that happened in Banning Springs, Cedar Key, Chiefland, and we're just like, oh wow, this is stuff that happened around us, that happened back then, and they're like, we want to know what's going on now, which I just think was great. Trying to get them involved in what happened and how are we fixing it now, how is it not being fixed yet, what can they do in the future to maybe work on something in their community. So that was module 2. And here's some of them working in the classrooms. And, oh, I don't think I mentioned, sorry, I jumped right in here. This program was with myself, Ms. Fields, Mr. Kidd at Chiefland Middle High School, and with Ms. Snyder and Ms. Musgrave at Cedar Key. So there were four of us teachers that worked on it with the students. Module 3 was probably the students' favorite module because we got to go to Manatee Springs and actually film underwater video of the manatees in the area, specifically looking at the scars and collecting data for those. And then they went back to the classroom, there, along with some other really neat projects they were learning about, different physiology, biology parts of all the different manatees there. They went back to the classroom, they viewed the video, each manatee that they looked at, they meticulously drew the different scar patterns to identify the manatees. I don't think we identified any specific ones this year, but you guys had one last year, I think, right? That was very cool. One that had not been to Manatee Springs in a while and showed back up after a few years, so they were able to actually identify one that has been known to return to Manatee Springs. So. And to me, Module 4, I think, was the most eye-opening for the students, and this is what they're going to share with you guys today as well. This was a symposium that they shared. They had a journal that they kept for 8 to 12 weeks, and they chose a specific environmental issue to collect data for. Whether it was trash, people in an area, they were counting manatees, counting certain species in, could be at Manatee Springs, Blue Springs, a couple different areas they chose, and they kept data on that. And then they put it all together in a poster. We went to the University of Florida and shared it, and this is where I think they got kind of freaked out and scared because how many people were there?
Almost 200 people.
So this is all like stakeholders, like Fish and Wildlife Service, like leadership in all of the spaces.
Right.
Yeah. But the kids, they were
the
like
experts.
the kids. They were definitely. You'll see our experts. But they're like, all these people are here for us, and we're like, yes, they're here for you. They're here to hear what you've been learning, and how you're putting your data together, and what conclusions you came up with from the data that you collected. So I think that was the biggest eye-opening part for them was Module 4, and seeing all these people and wondering, well, why are they here? They're here for you, you know. So I think that was a great way for them to just be wowed by everything, all the work that they've been putting in so far this year. So we also got to tour a couple of the labs at the University of Florida, and they were excited about that. We got here some of the stakeholders and community members and some of the other groups working together. And it was super cool because we were at the stadium at UF, so some of the FSU fans were not too excited, but we had some senior fans that were very excited to be there. And here we got to work with some community members. Cedar Key, we got some of the clam farmers. And of course, we had to go out on the field and get all the students together and take a big picture. Were we on the 50-yard line? I forget. I think that was the hope. It was all right, so I'm going to pass this over to the students, but here's the 4 of us that we've been working all year long. But we're definitely honored to be able to work with the students with this. I really appreciate the opportunity. I think the students have learned so much from this, and all right, I'm gonna call up my middle school students, Marilyn and Bree, and they are going to share with you the data that they collected and the poster that they put together and presented at this symposium. What's best for you guys? What would you guys?
Wherever you're comfortable.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, I'll hide behind it. You guys each take
Are we
a
not
side.
putting it on that thing? I thought you were. Hello, my name is Embry Summers. And my name is Sarah Ramos Campos. And today we are going to be doing a presentation on the Blue Springs manatee count. So we started journaling a couple of the manatees that we had seen on the underwater camera in Blue Springs. And we would write them down for a couple of weeks, and we would focus most on the manatees even though we had other options. After that, we made charts, and we kind of looked for patterns, and pretty much we messed up. How we messed up was because of the temperatures of the water, and as most people know, the Blue Springs water kind of stays the same exact temperature year around. So we reached out to Miss Zeta and yes, and they suggested looking at different rivers in different areas to see about the other temperatures, and we found St. John's River. We picked St. John's River, and we plugged in the temperatures into the dates and counted manatees in two separate graphs at first until we combined it together to get this pattern, which shows how the St. John's River, whenever it was very cold, the manatees would seek warmth. So they would go to the Blue Springs. That's how we found the higher ones, and the lower ones are because, wait, yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. I had a brain fart. And then whenever the St. John's River was very warm, the manatees would go to St. John's River or any other river, which meant there was less manatees in Blue Springs. That's pretty much what we had done, and we kind of thought we use a lot of science in this too. We had thought that, like here it says, in our study, we researched manatees at Blue Springs. We had thought that the number of manatees is dependent on the temperature of the surrounding water. Like we said, we used St. John, and that's the information we had gotten. We had put our journals together, and we created that chart. Then we would watch on the camera, and we had some these two pictures. This one found off of the internet, which mostly looks like the ones that we see on the more colder days. Yeah,
in
colder
St.
days.
John's. And then this one, we at first thought that it was a tracker because of the modules we had seen. But then we kind of thought, some people really don't care that much about animals, and then we tracked her. So maybe it was a good track too. Then when we went to the symposium, we had actually got told by experts that that was a tracker, and that they use trackers now to follow in, to track them and find information about them. So, some ideas we kind of had to help the populations of manatees to stop decreasing was, back to the tracker, you can put more trackers on manatees and try to find like certain roads of how they get to the St. John's River or different rivers to avoid them getting hit by boats. Meaning, like, if you found the roads, you can ask boats to avoid those ways if it was a certain temperature in the St. John's River or basically that, because if it was very cold in St. John's River, people would want to avoid the roads to the Blue Springs, so they wouldn't hit manatees on their way to the Blue Springs. Same way back to the St. John's River or any other river. That's pretty much all I have. Do you have any questions?
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Go ahead, Brooke. Go ahead. You can start. Go ahead.
So I did the fish counts in the lower 42, which I'm down there almost all summer, every summer. We rent houses down there, we stay, we go fishing, do mini season and all that down there. So I just did it on there because I'm most familiar with it. So the background of this is the lower 40 keys are home to diverse fish species such as snapper, grouper, parrotfish, tarpon, and they live in coral reefs, seagrass beds, and mangroves. These habitats provide food, shelter, and breeding areas that are essential for maintaining healthy fish populations. I selected this area because it is most comprised of important local ecosystems that support marine life and fish industries and tourism. So the method was, I monitored fish populations in the lower Florida Keys, including reef, seagrass, and mangrove habitat. I had 2 cameras, one that was out in the reef, it was, I don't know how far out, but out. And then one that was close right up to the 7 Mile Bridge. So, environmental and wildlife data were collected between January 2nd and March 13th, every Friday, including fish species observed, water clarity, and signs of pollution. Data was analyzed using Google Sheets. So the findings was fish populations are most abundant in healthy reefs and seagrass habitats, but areas where pollution and human activity showed fewer fish. The key takeaway is that protecting habitats like coral reefs and reducing population is critical to maintaining fish population. So there was over by the 7 Mile Bridge, there was a diver out there diving on the poles and picking up trash and taking it out. But there wasn't many fish there. Also, it was cold. I wouldn't want to swim there either. But out in the reefs where nobody can really drive in there was more in there and not as much pollution. But there was also a diver out there picking up trash. So these are parrotfish, all they're swimming around, but that's out in the reef. And then you have a coral reef habitat where many fish species are found, find each other food. They swim up in these corals and just live in there. And then this is a grouper, and then you have a parrotfish that are the main ones down there. And I did the fish presence in the lower Keys, and it was going higher, but also got warmer along the way. So there was more fish that was in the reefs than over by the bridge because of traffic through the bridge with the boats. Because there's only a little part that's like blocked off for like the beachy area. Other than that, they can pretty much drive through the whole thing. And most of these, yes, they live at the bottom, but they also swim up to the top and just swim around, find what they can find. So there's this discussion and conservation ideas. Fish populations in the lower 40 Keys depend heavily on healthy habitats like coral reefs and seagrass beds, but are threatened by pollution, overfishing, and climate change. But you can also fish off the bridge. They have a little bridge in the back. You can walk, do whatever you want. And then, again, there's not a way. Your boats can just pull up, go through the bridge. People lobster through there. So there's all kinds of different things going on. The continued protection of these ecosystems is necessary for marine biodiversity. So the conservation idea is reduce pollution by limiting plastic waste and runoff into the ocean. So don't use much fertilizer over there over on the grass and everything, and it run off when it rains. And then don't throw trash in the water, put it in a bucket. And then protect coral reefs and seagrass beds through conservation slow zones. So out there at the reefs, they have buoys where you're not even allowed to anchor out there. You have to tie off to the buoy and leave your boat there. Can't fish, can't do nothing. You can go snorkel around, dive, whatever, but you can't, nothing that'll mess it up. You will actually receive a really good fine if you do that. And then following fishing regulations to prevent overfishing and allow populations to remain healthy. Don't take somebody's snapper out and then remove the snapper and then, well, that's gone. Y'all have any questions?
Good job. That's great. Wonderful.
Just to show you a few more examples of this. We're not gonna talk. You're good. So we had each class, I don't know how many, maybe, how many of you? kid? About how many roofs did you have on?
7?
I had 7 or 8, so they made 7 or 8 per class, so they were quite closer. The kids had a really good time. We did research. Once a week, they had to do management accounts with them for a couple of months. They had to compile their own data, and they created these. I didn't.
They did a great job.
They
I
did.
know
Yeah,
they
they
were
really did.
enjoying
They had a really
the
good time
project.
too. Well, they were scared. You said, yeah, these are like, what? I'm gonna stand up for them. I said, no, it's gonna be like a science fair. People are gonna come around to you.
Uh-huh.
So they were okay with it after that. A lot of them didn't want to go when they first heard about it.
But what an experience. That's a neat experience. And getting to meet biologists
Right.
too.
Who else would?
Does that conclude the presentation?
Yes.
Thank you very much. If any of you guys want to slip out, or do you want to take a picture? Do you want to?
Yes, yes.
Just take a
You
quick
should have-
picture?
Yes. Yes, you do, Mr. Kidd. You might even have to smile in this one. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Oh, you're gonna get it, okay.
Thank you.
That was your one smile.
Does anybody need a break? Are you guys good? Do you want to do a 5 minute break? Keep going. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we have Mr. Stockman and Mr. Eastman. It's breezy. Easy.
Ready?
Get ready.
Once again, it's left up to Brandon and I
Yeah.
to bring some excitement.
Don't you love following that
Yeah,
presentation?
we thought we had something good to talk about, but now nothing. It's just spending money. So, Brandon's gonna kind of start off, go over some things, and, I'll do some speaking here in a minute.
Yeah, we've got 4 separate bids that, for our re-roofing projects over the summer. We've got Chiefland Elementary's got 2 roofs, Cedar Key's got 3, Yankeetown 4, and Joyce Bullock 6 roofs that we went out and bid for. Because of the timeline and the time frame we have with the number of roofs, and some of them are low slope, we had to get a scope of work for some of those. So we ended up reaching out to CRA Architects, and they helped us write this bid and helped us throughout the process. We had a mandatory pre-bid that lasted about all day. We had 18 to 20 different contractors show up, so that was good. And as you could tell on the bid, we ended up getting 9 bids submitted back for each site, except for Cedar Key, we got 7, which was a good number of turnout.
I just think with the involvement of CRA, first off, we would not have been able to get this project off the ground without some professional help with scopes of work, and there were just so many variables, so many details, and they're, company that we're under contract with, and, for small projects, and they really, I mean, untold amount of background stuff. This didn't just affect my department, his department. This affects every department in the district and every school in the district, not just the schools. These are happening because we're in meetings with Mrs. Paul, Mr. McClellan, and the Prevention Coalition and school staff. We have consolidated the schools that will be open this summer. So, which in turn lets us open up to more contractors to keep our costs down. We don't have to meet all the requirements for students on campus. That was a big deal. It really was a big deal. We don't have to do security fencing, and like I said, it's affecting the schools. It's not even getting the roofs done because they're getting students that they wouldn't have. But I think it's also going to help us with cost savings and more than one way. Brandon can.
It will be from May 30th to July 29th, so that it should be done before school starts back.
That's good.
That's good.
The other thing we were wanting to do, on your spreadsheets or on the bid sheets, we gave you a total at the end so you can kind of see the cost of each building. But we labeled a 1, 2, and a 3. Because we're in a time frame, we've got to bring a contract back before y'all at the next meeting.
Okay.
So what we're wanting to do is award a number 1, 2, and a 3, just in case number 1 falls through and can't get a contract signed, whether it's warranty issues, something issues, we didn't want to have to bring that back, where it's going to delay the process and we won't get as much done this summer. So Chiefland Elementary, number 1 was Lewis Walker Roofing, and we wanted to award that to. Second was Next Dimension, and then third was Keeler Roofing.
Do we need to have a motion on each?
Unless the board requests to split these out, because you want to address them individually, they can be voted on in a group, if that's the motion.
It's fine.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
You wanna wait till the end of all the various, or are we gonna vote on each one on each school?
And I'm saying it's up to the board. However,
Do you guys want to separate them out, or would you rather vote on them as a whole?
Why don't we hold off and do one vote on all of it based on 1, 2, 3 on each individual, as recommended by these folks. Does that make sense?
Okay.
as long as everybody knows what they're voting.
We'll vote it,
Right.
do it at the end. It's just one big, keep going.
1, 2, and 3 on.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3 on each one, and then we'll.
So we mentioned Chiefland Elementary. Cedar Key is gonna be number 1, Lewis Walker Roofing. Number 2, Apex. Number 3, Keeler Roofing. For Yankee Town is gonna be Jenkins Roofing is the number 1, Lewis Walker Roofing the number 2, Apex is number 3. And then Joyce Bullock, the number 1, Next Dimension Roofing. Number 2, Lewis Walker Roofing, and number 3, Jenkins Roofing.
And if y'all recall, last, over spring break, we did some roofs at Bronson Elementary. We had to go back to our second
Yes.
roofer of choice, and that was due to warranty issues.
Right.
Well, one of these, the same company that won originally at Bronson Elementary has won again, but their manufacturer in that amount of time has completely changed their warranty nationally. And had to do a lot with this, them losing that work, so they got a comparable warranty. And with us and CRA, we have really dove into them. We don't think we're gonna have that issue again. We've got all that on the front end, we're pretty sure. And I just wanna say to all the schools, Ms. Allen can attest, we invaded them. Four schools. We had 30 people between the contractors, ourselves, and CRA.
Wow.
And,
I thought it was a
Mr.
food
Gore on
truck
being able to-
gathering when I drove by. There were trucks everywhere.
yeah, we're about double the size of that campus.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Gore made it, easier for us to get badged with the resource officers and kept everybody on what was going on, so we did not have to go through the process at each school with 30 people.
We did it at Chiefland L, and then.
Chiefland L done the run of that. That was a big help. And like I said, every department in the IT, transportation is affected by this and all the, everything. It's just been a big deal and been the most aggressive roofing projects in the 30 years that I've been in and out of the system that I've seen. We're talking $1 million, and that's a lot of roofing for Levy County, but it's gonna address all of our pressing needs.
Pray for no hurricanes.
Yeah.
I know, right? I should have said that.
So, I guess we're asking for a motion to approve the top 3. Any questions?
I move approval based on y'all's recommendations for the top 3 with y'all to enter contract with and bring back before us.
A second.
It's
You
been
may have to
moved-
say that out loud.
What is it? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
I'm just gonna remind the board where the money's coming from. It was a state awarded appropriation that Ms. Boyle went out and got, for a portion of it and some non-refunding.
And these Levy ladies.
Yes.
Did what we had to do.
We did.
That's right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Mr. McClellan.
I guess I need hearing aids. That just proved it.
Hey, good evening, board.
Good evening.
So I want to give you all some information here. The district office was informed on 4/23 of this year that an employee may have been involved in an inappropriate relationship with a student. The sheriff's office and the director of personnel conducted an investigation and determined that this did occur. The employee was arrested immediately and placed on unpaid administrative leave. FLDOE was also contacted immediately. The board chair and the superintendent will complete a final order stating that the employee will be placed on the disqualification list and will not be eligible for hire in any school district in the state of Florida. So at this time, I'm requesting approval to terminate Mr. Sapp.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Now is the time for public comments. Do we have any public comments? The podium is open. Seeing none, now is also the time for public comments regarding school start times. Do we have any comments from the public regarding school start times? Seeing none, we will move to the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And now we are moving to the consent agenda. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Before you take a vote on the consent agenda, I wanted to give some feedback on one of the items, and I know we have talked about it individually, but I thought it was appropriate that on record it be said as well, so that when staff and the schools read the minutes or they even watch the board meeting, that they get clarification. If you look on that consent agenda, under the item of Assistant Superintendent of Instruction and Accountability, you will see at the very end something new that we're doing. And we came up with this from sitting down and having meetings and trying to figure out, when we make these consent agendas and we do changes to employee status, how can we make it more transparent? And how can you understand it? So I want to hit on that first. If you look at the bottom of that, it'll say removing the director of that job position of Director of Assessment and Accountability. So we're trying to put in there, if you see something that looks like a new job, to kind of look towards the end and see if that is replacing something that's already there, or we're getting rid of one or two positions and putting this one in there. Does that make sense? So we're going to try and do that religiously for you, so there's, transparency and you can understand it when you read it. With that, I just want you to back up a little bit to Mr. McClellan coming over as Assistant Superintendent. So this position was added. The Assistant Superintendent at that time was added. And that was for a couple reasons. I knew that the Assistant Superintendent of Administration, which is operations now, Mr. Lott, he was going to be retiring. Who was going to fill that role? In addition to that, there was the consolidation of the Director of Curriculum at that time as well. Looking back on that, if you look at and talk to the instructional team here, they took a lot of responsibility on from the consolidation of that position. And after speaking to them and assessing everything over this year, they were coming to me and saying, hey, we need some leadership. We need some clarity. We need which direction to go. coupled with that, fast forward to now, we have a very experienced staff member that's leaving, as you know, the Director of Assessment and Accountability. Looking back on the piecemeal of the Director of Curriculum Responsibilities, that's a big chunk. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, so now I have another objective to fill, and then responsibilities that people have to take on. And I'm sitting here thinking, we're asking during staffing allocation meetings at every school to make cuts, budgetary. We've heard Ms. Lake talk about the budget cuts. So in my role, how can I look at these positions, get the responsibilities filled and met, and also have everybody see that at district, we're trying to be mindful of the fiscal responsibility as well. So, moving forward, sitting down thinking, okay, let me look at this Director of Accountability and Assessment job description. Let me look at the Assistant Superintendent position it's on the books now, it's already in our system. How can I combine those two? So I did some research on that, and it could be done. The assessment side of the accountability has been dispersed for now at the district level among 2 people that have experience with testing at the school, testing coordinator positions at the school, and more. The accountability side, thinking, okay, who at right now at the district level can kind of get some background information of those responsibilities, and that's being done. So that person is there looking at the accountability side. I sat down with finance and said, okay, if I do not fill the Director of Assessment and Accountability, I leave the Assistant Superintendent position there and not create a whole nother position that also optics may look strange to everyone. What will that do financially? Is that going to put us out more money with salaries, or is that going to save us something? So if you look at Mr. Lott's part-time assistant superintendent, that is no longer. If you look at not filling the Director of Assessment and Accountability, and you leave the assistant superintendent, and you put the accountability side with that, and then you give the instructional team that leader, the leader that they need, combine those, fiscally the expenditures go down about $95,000. And since the last time I think Linda and Lisa and I spoke, the first calculation was about 45, and it is, after re-verification, it is at 95,000. I know sometimes the optics, like I said, it says, oh my gosh, there's another admin position going on at the district, and how come we have to cut at the schools? So I felt it was necessary to sit here and go, this was my thought process, these are the steps that happened. And the third thing that I wanted, and I shared with council earlier, is it was late getting on the agenda. And I remember as a school board member, I was like, oh, that's too late. I apologize for that, and we are always looking in that, and that will be improved. But I wanted to get that position on the consent agenda because I want to advertise for it. And I think that if you talk to the majority, they want to give everybody an opportunity for that position. So to get it on the agenda now, it can be advertised for, and then hopefully we're in a time frame crunch with Mrs. Lewis leaving. We can get some interviews done if that's the case, and then fill that role as necessary. So that was my brainstorming moment, and I wanted to share, and I wanted it to be on record so that the schools can read the minutes and also get a grasp of what's happening. Any questions for me? Any questions out there for me? No? Okay.
We'll move forward with questions from the consent agenda as a whole. Mr. Asbell, do you have any questions?
All my questions were answered earlier.
Ms. Campbell? Ms. Baxter?
Mine were answered earlier as well.
And mine were answered as well thoroughly. My concern was the budget. So to know that with Mr. Lott, Ms. Lewis leaving, from what I understand, the breakdown, they're leaving. It's just kind of a reorganization, a different structure, two assistant superintendents, and we're saving $95,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Estimated, I put a filter for who's coming in, I don't know what that is, but yes, you've got a highly paid administrator leaving that has a job, even part-time, and then you've got the director of accountability. So you take those two as deletions, and then you put in an average pay for what this position could be, you're at $95,000 reduction.
Do I hear a motion to approve the consent and finance agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. And next on the agenda is superintendent comments.
Thank you. It seemed like it came fast. The superintendent reading awards and the scholarship awards are all happening right now, and it's a beautiful thing. There are, I mean, with the Levy County School Foundation too, going to the awards and listening to how many thousands of dollars that our Levy students are gaining from so many community members. Smaller businesses, individuals that have been doing it, classes, previous classes, just giving thousands and thousands of dollars. It's amazing, and we're very blessed. Our students are very blessed. I want to give a shout out to, I don't know if all of you know this, but Mr. Wayne forwarded me an email. And to me, this is a big deal because, if you all remember, I don't want to bring up the sadness, but the bus crash on 19. There was another incident, and we met as a team at the district, and I think you all saw it when you saw the video of the bus arm being broken too. But there was another incident. It was that exact same stop, and a vehicle went by the bus. You could see where it almost clipped the bus again. And not only were the police there, but while the police were there and everybody was making sure everybody's okay, another vehicle went by, and FHP took off after that vehicle. They didn't even stop. So we were brainstorming, and we were talking about, well, where could the bus go? I mean, can we get the bus off the highway, somehow turn around? And we looked at certain things, and there just was no place for that to happen because of the size of the bus and then the intersecting streets where the kids would have had to walk to get the bus if they turned down the side street. So Mr. Wayne contacted DOT. Long story short, one of the managers at DOT connected with someone else at DOT. They came down, they surveyed the area, and what they have done, I don't know if you've noticed it, but they built a pull-off off of 19.
Oh, that's great.
And it's complete, and it is being used, and that bus just pulls off on, they tarred it, right, from what I could.
Yes, it's Millen's with it.
Millen, that's what it looked like when I went by.
Yes.
But I just think that, I mean, what are the chances of having such a severe incident and then the same stop having an oh my gosh moment? And I'm beyond a shadow of a doubt, I think this cutoff area just saved another accident, another serious trauma from happening. So that is, I mean, it's wonderful. And I think the gentleman that you wrote at DOT, I think they were very appreciative of you writing them. And I don't know, maybe.
They knew we were passionate.
They did. And it didn't take that long, Joe. I mean, it didn't really, compared to when we started talking about it. But thank you for doing that. Thank you for following through. The next thing I wanted to just briefly mention is something that we implemented at the last admin meeting is called Boots on the Ground. Did you get my little email to boardroom.com? I wanted to show you a picture. But we were talking about how we can honor our schools for attendance. It kind of started with flowers I got in a vase one time that was a boot. So that's how that came about. But Miss Morgan pulled some of the data and figured out how we can look at elementary schools and secondary schools the same, so that, you know, you can award together. I mean, we know they're different, but how can we get the numbers to look at the staff and attendance? So Cedar Key School received the first ever Boots on the Ground Award for student attendance, and Williston Middle High received the first Boots on the Ground for staff attendance. And that's for 1 month, the highest student attendance and then the highest staff. And so that award will rotate, and they had a small monetary incentive present in there along with the flowers. But I think it's nice that they get recognized for the hard work they're doing too. And attendance matters, as we've been talking about all night. Last night, I was able to speak to Safety Patrol briefly. This Lieutenant Hires has invited me at last year and this year, and I kind of got to thinking, okay, how can I get some instruction into a trip that happens during the summer? So I spoke with Maria and Darby and talked to the kids last night, asked them if they would like to win a gift card when they come back from their trip. Of course, everybody's raising their hand. So I introduced, we'll get the logistics out, but I introduced that when they come back from their trip, I would like them to write a 1-page paper. So Darby's going to figure out the prompt to kind of keep it along the lines of our instruction. And we'll figure out a place where they can drop them off, because I think waiting till school starts is a little too long, they might forget. But we'll have a first, second, and third prize winner. And those winners, I said last night, will probably come here to the board meeting and read their essay. So, and I know everybody is tired, and the testing, and the teachers are tired, admin's tired, but it's almost to the end, and district staff is tired, but they're all working hard, very, very hard. So thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Asbell, board comments?
Oh, thank you, ma'am. We're at the end of the year, in my opinion, the best time of the year. And it didn't seem like it took very long to get here, if you've noticed. By the time we meet again, we will have graduated. But right now, we have all the banquets, all of that. And that brings us to something. We have banquets, we go and we see these kids awarded. But we're going to do something different tonight. I have an award for each of you from a kid. All right? And you have to choose. All right. We have a Bronson FFA member. If you recall, he won grand champion at the Swanee River Fair with his woodwork of a big FFA. And he makes custom pins. So we have a pin for each school board member. Devin's out of luck because he chose to be with his kid. He don't get no. He gets the leftovers. And for our attorney. All right, and these are from Mr. Antaeus Blocko. And he does this, and it's remarkable that he actually turns these with wood, creates them himself. So pick a pin, pass these around. And this is a little Bronson gift to everybody. So everywhere you go and you write checks, you'll remember the Eagles.
Well, please tell him we said thank you.
And so I think it's remarkable. Now,
that he does it.
now I'm going to bash an organization too while I do it, because I'm never good without some bad. I'm fascinated with this. Everybody here, we all support the FFA, and this fascinates me. The FFA does not recognize that woodworking as an SAE project.
Oh, that's too bad.
And so it's like, it is too bad. And there has been comments about that needs to change. And it was somebody higher up the food chain than me in the FFA organization has said, until the right school and the right person comes along and wants to do that won't change. And so we bring this to say, if you got any connections with FFA on a state level, national level, this needs to change. If that's a pretty good SAE project right there. So anyway, I wanted to share that
What's
with
his
you.
name again?
Antaeus Blakos.
Can you spell that?
Spell, please.
Antaeus,
last
Blakos is Blacos. I call him Fuzzy because he's got this great big hair that he has to keep pulled back, and it's hilarious.
COS?
COS.
Okay.
He's a senior if he does the 18 credits, but he may not do that. We all wish we had the choice to do that kind of stuff. But whatever one you don't take, I'm gonna let our attorney choose one, and we'll leave the other one behind for Mr. Whitehurst.
Thank you.
Oh, see, you go. There you go. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Ms.
Yes.
Campbell?
All right, I'll be very, very quick because I know we're all tired. All the presentations today were wonderful and I appreciated them very much. They did a great job. I love seeing all that's going on in our schools, and so much is going on. Just that we're coming to the end, our Young Authors Conference is on the 28th in Cedar Key, and you're all invited. Anyone can come by, please do. We have our baccalaureate on the 17th, and of course our graduation on the 23rd, early in the morning. And that's about it.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Baxter?
Well, I want to say thank you to Breezy and Brandon for all the work that you guys had to do on those bids. I know that was a lot, and looks like you guys did a good job on that. I too enjoyed the presentations. Tanya does a remarkable job with the AVID program, and we're appreciative. Everything is the same in Chiefland as at the other schools. We're having grade level awards, banquets. The drama club, Mr. Kidd that was here earlier, their drama club just finished putting on a play, and it was a huge success. FFA banquet last week. The students were so impressive, and many awards were given out. They have a tradition at Chiefland to do a senior walk at both the elementary and the high school, and that will be this Friday. And of course, we're looking forward to graduation next week. And that's all.
Thank you. I'll be quick too. Thank you, everything that Lisa said. Breezy and Brandon, Tanya, Mr. Joe, after we watched that bus presentation that time, I don't think I'll ever look at a school bus the same. I'm like a sleuth, just looking to see if anybody's gonna pass out on mine. I'm ready to call FHP. So thank you for going the extra mile and getting that in on 19. Yankeetown's in the thick of testing. Ricky said that they're showing lots of growth, which is a great thing. She wanted me to shout out the IRC, the English Recreation Committee. They provided everything for the middle school dance. The DJ, photographer, food, the whole community is just so wonderful down there. I wanted to thank you guys for coming to Yankeetown too. We had such a great meeting with our school visit to just sit and talk and bounce ideas off of each other and see all the great things that they're doing in Yankeetown. I wanted to, and when we popped in Miss Good's classroom, I was thinking when they did the AVID presentation, the 5 points that you're supposed, she hit all of those things in that class. She did such a great little classroom visit. I do want to say one thing that I didn't say about the consent agenda. These teachers that are being dismissed and let go, it is like all hands on deck right now. I heard something the other day, wherever children gather, you're going to have bad people. So I'm glad that we're being vigilant in terminating these people as soon as possible. So sometimes it's hard to jump through those hoops, but I appreciate you in one case in particular being stern about that, so. And if we have nothing else, meeting adjourned.
She